Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we're going to talk about mass frustration in WWE's women's division.
If WWE runs Egypt, Logan Paul won't be there.
Got some WrestleMania plans for Jacob Fatu, AJ Styles, and a bunch more.
And Gunther shoots hard on himself.
What? I'm Andrew Murray.
I'm Michael Hamflett.
And this is the news. All right, we're going to kick this one off by talking about... There's a new report from Sean Ross Sapp. He was on The Hump, Fightful's The Hump podcast with his co-host and I think Fightful owner, Jimmy Van.
Yeah.
Where they were asked about, they had a super chat asking Sean about frustrations in the WWE Women's Division and if things had ever gotten to the level of the Royal Rumble 2022 fiasco, which, so Sean basically said that no, it's nowhere near Royal Rumble 2022 level. He actually said that things were so bad around Royal Rumble 2022 that he developed new sources because they were reaching out to him going, hey, leading wrestling journalist, this situation sucks. And they've become, which is quite funny.
They want to put the belt on Shane. Yeah. What's going on?
Why is Shane McMahon the women's champion? That'd be wild. But yeah, it's not as bad as that. And Sean said that like Royal Rumble 22 could only, in terms of like backstage annoyance, could only compare to a couple of different things. They said The Fiend versus Rollins night was one of them, and there was like apparently that COVID era situation where people at the PC, like WWE people, were like, don't talk to the dirt sheets. And then the people at the PC were all rage against the machine. F you, I won't do what you tell me. And talk to the dirt sheets or whatever.
But they haven't put the magic spray on the canvas. I don't think this is good.
Yeah, guys, why am I here? This is not an essential service. But there is a situation now in the women's division where people are frustrated about the booking, including heading into WrestleMania. Sean said actually he'd had a wrestler reach out to him and say, hey, can you check and find out if I'm listed internally as a babyface or a heel? Which is mind-boggling that would not be communicated to somebody by the people they work for. It's like if you went to... phone up one of our bosses and go, can you clarify, am I a podcaster or am I a IT technician?
I'm coming to a WhatCulture Gaming later on. Check it out. I'm going to ruin all your favourite Sonic stuff.
Talking about computers.
Yeah.
He said that as well, some people had rejected WrestleMania pitches because they didn't want to be in what they perceived to be token tag team matches in the women's division.
Big flex.
Apparently, they just want they want things put on a more even plane across the division. Contracts are going up, salaries are going up. It's not a sideshow anymore, and they kind of want it to be not treated like one, it seems. They've added more titles, so add more matches. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Now, he stressed that Natalya isn't frustrated. He said, I'm not saying Natalya is frustrated, but he used her as an example where she re-signed, they made plans, had all these big ideas, and then nothing really happened.
Yeah.
There's probably other situations like that as well. Now, he noted as well that a lot of different men on the roster have a bunch of different creative things going on, but that doesn't necessarily apply for the woman. Doesn't know if it's a Triple H thing or what, but yeah, that's the extent of it. So what we have at the moment for WrestleMania, by the looks of things, well, we know we've got Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah.
Charlotte had a very heel promo on this week's episode of SmackDown, which, she should be the heel.
We know where we're at last with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then Rhea Ripley versus the Chamber winner as well. Maybe you'll get some kind of Trish Stratus action. She's on Elimination Chamber, but
or Io Sky, I guess, versus Chamber if she beats Rhea, or a three-way that's getting mooted, or the millionth three-way that we're about.
Triple threat, WrestleMania triple threat. Yeah. All these 15-year-olds on Twitter, man, they love a triple threat for WrestleMania.
Go and watch WrestleMania 16. Treat yourself to as many multi-mans as you want, and then come back to the present day.
They'll bring back the Fatal 4-Way brand, brother. But yeah, there you go. A bit of frustration. Odd that not often you hear about people being pissed off with stuff in Papa H's WWE.
Yeah.
But there you go. Pretty big.
I'm glad to hear this. I'm really glad to hear that. We often talk on these videos and in general about how the more that talent fight for the things they want, the better the business gets. The rising tide raising all ships is not necessarily really a top-down deal in wrestling. The wrestlers never win. The best thing they can do is lose and get paid the most for it. Ultimately, there's too much money that flows around that doesn't make it into their pockets. So when you talk about WrestleMania season and wrestlers fighting for spots or arguing creative direction, in general, a good thing. But especially so as relates to this women's division. Triple H, I think, inspired a lot of optimism when he took over as head of creative in WWE for the women in particular. Not just because someone like Vince McMahon in particular was resigned in disgrace, but because of the legacy he left with NXT. Like, absolutely, I would say the single most influential figure in North American women's wrestling booking was Triple H, based on the NXT golden era of about 2014 to 2016. And the solid production line churn of constant massive stars that women's division continued to create and then send off to the main roster. It wasn't just a crew of wrestlers, it was a system that was developed that, made for actual parity in NXT that over time bled over into the main roster with the inclusion of the likes of the Women's Royal Rumble, Evolution, the Money in the Bank and Elimination Chamber, the likes being split across both divisions.
Yeah.
If nothing else, quantity was there on the main roster, even when the quality couldn't be because Vince McMahon was in charge of it. Changes were made. So when he gets the wheel, you're thinking, oh, well, fantastic. Like, bring that back. And there's been a few big statements, I would say, to sort of suggest that things are actually fine and it is even, but it's never really been that way. If you think about his first SummerSlam and he just unleashes Damage Katara in this huge big angle and you think, wow, right out the gate, this massive statement. But how were they really booked over those 2 years? The likes of some really big debuts along the way, someone like a Jade Cargill, but just get a bit granular. How has she really been booked over that time? Even to your mention of the title belts, the US and the Intercontinental title, I had beefs with people online over this. Added championships rarely make for an improved product, but I took the idea that, more belts equal more matches. That hasn't actually happened. Chelsea Green is having a better time of it. Well, Chelsea Green is having a great time of it on SmackDown. She would have had that great time with or without the US title. She's really over.
Yeah, you don't take Chelsea Green off TV regardless of a title, do you?
Lyra Valkyria is gasping for air as the Intercontinental Champion on Monday Night Raw. I think it was her first defence of the belt this week, having won it at the start of the year in the tournament final against Dakota Kai. I guess the matches may include singles title matches, which would be 4 for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But again, that means the only matches are title matches. What that means is you're not telling undercard stories. You're not building characters from the ground up. Liv Morgan, one of the divisive storyline, but one of the biggest stars outright in 2024, and has sort of seemingly broken a bit of a glass ceiling and pushed her way into the WrestleMania conversation for something big. But she's a rule-proven exception, I would say, in this women's division. Triple H, being he, is 3 years into this now, coming in July. And I think it's high time that these problems were kind of not just talked about on the reg, and we've always, kind of tried to have these conversations, but it's good that they're coming internally as well, and the women are kind of fighting for those places a little bit.
I suppose we'd be remiss not to mention the Jade Cargill story will probably be resolved at WrestleMania too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's as of today, actually, it's 90 days since she last appeared on TV, so she's been gone a while.
Yeah.
And they've pointed the security footage at Raquel and Liv, but it's probably not them. Mm-hmm. Naomi and Bianca probably still have some snooping to go. It was probably one of them doing the deed that laid her out. So that'll probably be on WrestleMania. I mean, if Becky Lynch returns, which it feels imminent every week, but it hasn't happened yet. You'd imagine they get her in a card. I don't think those 2 mid-card titles are... I don't think they've got much chance of getting on the lineup.
It's not guaranteed, is it?
No,
it should be. Yeah.
This is it. I think the Go Home SmackDown might host one of those big title matches. So lots to consider, lots to ponder. I think people fighting for their spots, standing up and saying this isn't good enough is good. And look, every single booker in the world has at least 1 or 2 blind spots that they're just not good at doing. Maybe Triple H is on the main roster in this day and age is lots of women's programs going on at once. The encouraging thing, I guess, from a WWE standpoint would be that NXT every single week. They've done a much better job of featuring the woman. 2, 3, 4 matches every single week. Lots of people who work a very eye-catching style that have been able to get over from doing just ridiculous feats in the ring. Lots of stark improvement from your Lash legends of the world as well. Remember where she started to where she is today? This is ridiculous.
Developmental in the true sense.
Yeah. She's a tremendous success story. So lots of reasons to be cheerful, but who are we to deny the lived-in experiences of the people on the main roster who are going through this? And who am I to deny you the lived experience of buying a ticket for our tour?
This is it. If you're thinking to yourself, the Go Home SmackDown sounds pretty interesting. I'm actually going to be in Las Vegas, but I'm not going to have the money to buy a WWE ticket. That's too expensive. You don't need to. You can join the biggest and best watch-along in Sin City, taking place at the HyperX Arena at the WhatCulture Live Show. It's the biggest and daftest and most ambitious thing we've ever done. done. So please come along and join us for a bit of What Culture history. We're going to be doing a live show. We're going to be doing a SmackDown watch along on a preposterously big screen at the HyperX Arena. Then Simon Miller's going to be doing ups and downs for SmackDown live for YouTube that you can get your face on. Then we're going to be doing a WrestleMania 41 preview podcast. And then what happens at What Culture Live stays at What Culture Live. So there's going to be drinks, meet and greets, picture opportunities, the whole deal, as it's going to be an entire night of entertainment in Las Vegas.
WhatCulture.com/tickets. Get them now and for the UK tour too. And it just so happens that the HyperX Arena is in the Luxor, which is a pyramid. Skadoosh.
Indeed. Yeah, so if you want to go see the pyramids, I mean, you could go to Egypt. I'd prefer to go to the Luxor Hotel and Casino.
Or just hang out with Bailey.
Indeed.
Yeah.
She loves Egypt stuff.
She's a big Egypt fan.
But yeah, I suppose as a secondary option, you could go to Egypt itself. I've heard it's lovely there. Never been. And somebody that might never go is Logan Paul.
He's banned.
This is not related to WWE running a show there yet. I guess they could do. They run everywhere. But Logan Paul has revealed he's not able to get into the country. This came as a result of a conversation that he was having with Jimmy Donaldson, another YouTuber, kind of not as big as us. You might have known better as Mr. Beast.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him.
No, yeah, he'll probably be on one of the side panels as you're watching this video. I don't know. Well, all the best to him. All the best.
I think he gets about 100 views a video.
Yeah,
yeah.
So anyway, he's talking to this Jimmy Beast, and he basically they're talking about Mr. Beast doing a video for the Egypt Film Commission, and Logan Paul revealed on his blog that he was supposed to be part of it and can't be. He said, "Quote: Mr. Beast just uploaded a new video exploring the pyramids. I love the pyramids." I was like, "Jimmy, can I come?" And he was like, "For sure, dude." And they're on, the flights are booked, it's all good. And then he's like, "Dude, unfortunately the Egyptian government said you can't come, otherwise we can't come." So Logan Paul was the line in the sand. If he's coming, the trip is off. And he was like, "Wait, what? I know I pissed people off at the Egyptian government, but I've never even been to Egypt. Why can't I see a pyramid, Jimmy?" He said, "I don't know. The government specifically said that you were the only person that can't come on the trip.
Everyone else in the world is allowed.
Everyone's
It's
welcome."
not Logan Paul.
Look, if you want to go to Egypt, you go to Egypt. Again, I'd recommend the Luxor in Las Vegas. But yeah, if you want to go to Egypt, treat yourself. Go and see the Nile. Go and see some sphinxes. It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, Logan, you're not going to be. You come and join us at the Luxor, the HyperX Arena. Why don't you? Because you're not going to see any of the pyramids anytime soon.
I think I'm good, to be honest, on that offer. He's reaping what he sowed, isn't he? Here, like, I mean, it's there's a chance he made this up, right? There's a chance this isn't true, or there's a chance also that Mr. Beast is ribbing him. Because, I'm no Mr. Beast expert, but from the videos I've seen, they take the piss out of each other all the time.
It's proper James Beast, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Vintage James E.
Classic Jim Beast. I love his whiskey so much.
Me too, Jack Daniels and Jim Beast.
So it's entirely possible that this isn't true, but you'd have to imagine that maybe it's a consequence of things that happened in Japan. Perhaps. I don't know. I think the content that these guys make is not necessarily for me. It's not. They're not trying to appeal to me, so that's fine. It's very like every video opens and it's like, "I bought an entire country."
Yeah, they're appealing to my kids.
Yeah.
It's really stressful, actually.
And it's like it's so well edited. It's like it looks like the biggest budget production of all. It's a very impressive work, but it's also not aimed at 37-year-old grumpy Scottish men. Who listen to death metal and watch Japanese wrestling that has a crowd of 20 fans. So, hey, look, one thing about Mr. Beast, I know he's had some controversies lately. He does a lot of charitable work, and he does a lot of philanthropic stuff. So he's a guy who does use his platform for many good things. And I know he puts it on YouTube and all this stuff, but putting it on YouTube allows him to make more money, which allows him to do more of it. So it's the thing that feeds himself. And I'm not sticking up for him in any of his recent scandals. Logan Paul's had a few of those himself, Lord knows. But there's my balanced take on Mr. Beast.
I just didn't know that he was called Jimmy Beast. That was what I used to nickname a large arm of a former colleague. Yeah. But there we go, Mr. Beast.
There you go. Right. Anyway. Jim. Right, let's talk about some WrestleMania matches. Speaking of Jim, he's not in this. That might
not
be
yet.
Yeah, probably in the works. WrestleVotes, Q&A, Backstage Pass podcast. Got a bunch of cool things here. Apparently, we're gearing up towards Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu. WrestleMania 41. You saw the gears for that. Kind of really start grinding on SmackDown this week, which is good. Also on the same show, he said he didn't think that Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio is happening, which they've been teasing this tension, Judgment Day, new member, JD's injured, all that stuff. They've been teasing all of that. However, WrestleVotes had heard that potentially AJ Styles could have a singles match with Balor. They've not. If it's not that, then Braun Breaker versus Styles might be in the work, which certainly seemed to be a match that they were building on Raw this week.
Yeah.
When Braun Breaker accidentally speared Dominic when he was going for Mr. AJ Styles. Apparently, the undercard, however, is still being worked on, and things might eventually change. So, I mean, literally, all of those matches sound good. I think the pairings of the ones discussed there, Solo versus Jacob, yeah, do it now.
Yeah.
Right? Jacob is the GOAT, the God, he's the best. And Solo, this kind of downward spiral is really quite compelling. It's
purpose-serving, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would be very interested to see what Solo does once everyone has abandoned him. What does his character do after that?
Yeah.
He might be the silliest goose of all time. That could be fun. And also, I'm probably more into AJ versus Braun than I am AJ versus Finn.
Most definitely, me too, yeah. The thing is, at the moment, WWE finds itself in a situation where, because there are so many overstars and lots of people in demand, that is a good thing, theoretically, but it feels like it's becoming a selection headache around WrestleMania season. We've talked about the wrestlers that are fighting for those main event spots, but the same can be said, presumably, for all the mid-card spots, and you hear something like an AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, and maybe you shouldn't look that gift horse in the mouth, I don't know, but it feels like old news as opposed to something like AJ Styles versus Braun Breaker, in terms of...
It's very, very difficult. Like, if you've got Colin Cooper performing so well, how do you bring Steve Chettle into the lineup?
The exact examples I was thinking of. Like, you've took the words out of my brain and mouth. But yeah, Colin Chettle and Steve Cooper notwithstanding, the fact that, like, at the moment, there is just so many wrestlers interacting with so many other wrestlers, might be to your taste because it allows, obviously, for loads of speculation like this, but it would be nice after Elimination Chamber to start like streamlining this and fine-tuning this and getting a sense of an actual WrestleMania card. I think it's okay, and this is coming from Dr. Fed, the temperature's still boiling hot. I would like to have been a little bit more excited about more of the card than I've been permitted to, considering that we're in the middle of February. I know WrestleMania's a little bit later, but hearing these matches or hearing these discussions are all well and good. But can we start getting some match graphics and some more solid directions? It can't keep being face-offs and like Solo and Jacob, to your point, I think is one of the reasons why that felt exciting on SmackDown. There was a bit of a frisson between the two, because even if Solo fights Cody one more time for the belt, his defeat is going to confirm what Jacob clearly already thinks, which is that Solo's not good enough for the job. And that does feel like a WrestleMania match / capital M moment when Jacob absolutely obliterates him, and all of Solo's heat is basically given to Jacob Fatu as he begins this like incredible next step of his rise. That's exciting because it already feels as good as locked in. I think I speak on behalf of a lot of WWE fans when I say I would like a little bit more of that.
Me too. I agree.
But yes, moving on to our final story. Speaking of things that are at least locked in for WrestleMania, Gunther versus Jey Uso. The one match so far that we do know is definitely going to be happening, along with obviously Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, the two Royal Rumble winners have declared. And Gunther feels, at least at the moment, like he has got his mojo back. The World Heavyweight Champion, of course. He won the title last summer against Damian Priest, and then would go on to... Fued with Cody Rhodes over that ridiculous Saudi Arabian belt that he had, and just kick around in the upper mid-card rather than the main event, as it all became very Bloodline and CM Punk-centric at the back end of the year. And Gunther spoke on that a little bit. He was speaking to the Daily Mail, interviewed by Lewis Browning, and there was a couple of interesting quotes where he said, "I don't think the last few months were ideal for me." He says he lost to Cody, and then everything during that feud with Priest, it didn't allow me to show the best side of me, if that makes any sense. But now I think I'm back to my old self. I feel...
Reading Shakespeare to dogs, baby.
Indeed. Well, this is it. Yeah, he's borrowing from the best right now, isn't he? Feels his old mojo is back. And I think there's a couple of things to this. The current feud with Jey Uso is... perfect. The only worry I think that anyone should have is how you keep it this perfect between now and WrestleMania. They have illustrated wonderfully the contrast between the two men, stylistically, in terms of how they speak, they dress, they act, they think, and they wrestle. And they've even done it with a match itself. The very bold choice to have Gunther defeat Jey Uso clean as a sheet before Jey Uso wins the Rumble to go again has only widened the gulf between the two of them. And you're getting that play out on Raw, and Gunther gets to look and feel 100 foot tall against Jey Uso at his most spunky, scrappy-doo babyface.
Yes.
The stage is really, really beautifully set, and I just hope they can kind of carry that on between now and WrestleMania. But elsewhere, I think, the Damien Priest do-over after Gunther beat him, obviously, did seem to lack a bit of the spark and the confidence that Gunther has brought to this role, pretty much since he was Intercontinental Champion, doing this all over again. Cody was, I think, a way more interesting story than that ugly, daft belt was able to permit.
Yeah.
The fact that somebody is good enough to beat Gunther and knock his confidence is definitely a story worth telling. But I'm not sure that because it was over the Saudi belt, it maybe landed in the way that it would have. I think there's a different time and a place to tell that story. And just on this one more thing with Gunther, I love a bit of outright public introspection. I actually think it shows more confidence to be able to admit your flaws to people as a way to say, but I'm back, than it is to kind of hide them and get defensive. We see plenty of wrestlers that maybe panic about their spots and then say, "Oh, I'm better than ever, actually."
Yeah.
Like, do you know that Nueve means 9? That means 9 world titles in lots of different companies. I'm the best I've ever been. Shut up. I think it's quite refreshing for Gunther to be able to review his difficult periods as well as his purple patches.
It's refreshing because he's not a mark for the Fed. This is not a guy who, woke up every single day going, "I got to get to WWE. I got to get to WWE." Like, he turned his company down several times before he eventually signed because he didn't want to move to America. He's not like a total. He's himself. He's his own man. And he's not just bowing to this mighty Fed, whatever, which I find very refreshing. There's nothing wrong with being a company man, and there's nothing wrong with this being your dream your whole life, this specific company. But at the same time, different perspective, balanced perspectives, a guy who just venerates Japanese wrestling and old European wrestling and stuff. It's really cool having him in the spotlight because he brings a completely different range of views on what wrestling can and should be, and I think that's why he's been so successful in WWE, is because he's been able to impart that on the product and not let the product dictate who he is too much. The one exception with that I do think would be that Priest feud, which I didn't really enjoy. I don't like Gunther on TV. I like him in interviews being reflective. I don't like him on TV being a coward and running over. That's not the ring general, man. Yeah. That's not the character for me personally. So I didn't really enjoy that. I think there's any shame in losing to Cody. Cody's the man. Cody's the guy. It would have been really ballsy if Gunther had beaten Cody. That would have been cool, because then it would have been like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This guy's for real. And also, it probably would have been quite helpful with Gunther's title as well, because I do think there is still a lingering perception that this is belt B to belt A, right? Yeah. So that would have been cool, but it's Cody Rhodes. There's no shame in losing to Cody Rhodes. I think the Jey Uso program is perfect for him for WrestleMania. I'm glad that it's not being written by Vince McMahon, because then we'd have had Gunther dressing up as a clown to mock him, and it would have been bad, not good.
I think when that happens, I think if he's knocked out or something and Jey Uso puts the yeet glasses on him, I think you use that for Gunther. What? I'm going to kill somebody for this, just the look of himself in these glasses when he's on the...
Power bombs the glasses.
Somebody's got to die for this. They use that for good rather than for, cartoonish crap.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. He's good. Gunther is good. That's my hot take. You know what else is good? A video about some secrets. The 100. No, it's not 100. It's one secret from every year in WWE history. Look at that. How can you look at that thumbnail and not click on Vince McMahon's just gurning mug?
Click it.
Click it, or I'll be nasty.
Click you.
Bye.